Hey coin collectors, and welcome to the DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Today we're going to take a look at the 1964 silver United States quarters. These coins are 90% silver, and wow, what a month or two we've had for the silver value in the United States. The melt silver value for 1 ounce of silver is up around $110 today. These coins, which are 90% silver, are worth over $86 for 4 of them, for each coin dollar in silver. Each of these is worth about $20, so we have about $160 in silver for these 8 quarters. $2 worth of quarters? $160 of silver melt value. Now, can you get that much money for them? No, you're going to have to sell them to a dealer, and the dealer has to make money on them, of course. But you might be able to get as much as $120 for these 8 quarters, which is just amazing. Now, you should shop around on these, because one of the things that happens when you sell silver coins for melt value is if the dealer has the ability to get rid of them quick, they can get close to market value. If the dealer has to hold them for a while, the dealer's going to have to hedge bets a little bit and give you less. Find somebody that's buying a lot of them, and that's where you're going to get your best price. So, what's going to happen with these coins now in terms of collector value? Well, the collector value is way less than the silver melt value. 2 months ago, a coin like this would probably be worth $5 because the silver value of it is more than the collector's value. Now, a coin like this is worth $20, and again, the silver value is way higher than the collector value. We didn't talk about this, but one of the ways, of course, you can tell if you have a silver coin is just tip it up on its side, and you can see the silver in it. Let's take a look at this coin here. So this is a 1964 United States Washington quarter, Washington facing to the left, and God We Trust under his chin, Liberty above him, 1964 below him, and no mint mark on the front of these quarters. You have to flip it over to the back to look for mint mark. And the mint mark would be right here, and there isn't one, so that means this is a Philadelphia quarter. In 1964, they made these quarters at Philadelphia. They made these at Denver, and they also made proof quarters at the Philadelphia Mint. So here's a proof quarter here. Let's talk about the values of these different quarters. So one of the things you look for when you want to find out the value of a quarter is you look for the detail on the eagle on the back. And you see that there should be a beak line here. There should be a little tuft of hair coming out the back. There should be feathers all down the front of the eagle. And in 1964, we don't have a lot of great examples of that, but there are some pretty good ones. They made $560 million at the Philadelphia Mint. The auction record is $7,188. The highest graded one through PCGS, a professional coin grading service, is about $5,000 from Mint State 68. So you can get some expensive ones out there, but they have to be in incredibly good condition. And so when you look at one like this, which is another Philadelphia, and you see that this is in pretty good condition. There's a little bit of a burn mark there, which some collectors would say doesn't hurt the value at all. And then when we look at the front, we see that this is just a really nice Philadelphia coin. But even so, this quarter on the right, which used to be worth maybe $15, and this one used to be worth $5, $6, now this quarter on the right's worth $20 because that's what its melt value is. And this quarter on the left is worth $20 because that's what its melt value is. So there are some really, really good coins getting sold to coin dealers for their melt value. If you did have the money, this would not be a bad time to get some incredibly good quality coins. Who else made them? Well, they made them at the Denver Mint. And if it's the Denver Mint, it's going to have this D down here. They made $704 million. The auction record for a Denver Mint one is huge. It's $38,400 from Mint State 68 in 2021 at the Stack's Bowers auctions. Now, obviously, it's going to look a lot better than this one. At a Mint State 65, these used to go for $26. They're probably going to go up. That's probably going to go up because every coin's worth $20. A Mint State 65, which is a relatively rare coin, is probably going to go up significantly, but we don't know how much it's going to go up. We'll have to watch the market to settle. And a mint state 68, they've graded 3 of these at PCGS, are listing for $32,500 at this point. Now these coins, they made these in 1964, 1965, and some people say that they made these also in 1966. So the silver, they kept making these until all of the silver ran out, but they also started making the clad quarters, the ones with that were copper, nickel covered copper at the same time. So in 1965, they were making 1964 quarters, and they were making 1965 quarters which weren't silver. So if you're looking for the silver quarters, look for the date 1964 or earlier, unless you have some kind of special silver mint set. What about the proof quarters? Well, they made around 4 million proof sets at Philadelphia. The auction record for one of these coins is $2,350. And they also have a 1964 Type B and Type C reverse. In those coins, those reverses were the reverses that came from the 1965 quarter. So here's that 1965 quarter here. You tip it up, and you can see that it's copper. And when you get to the back, they made some really slight changes to the coin, the back of the coins in 1965. And if you get one of the 1964 coins with the 1965 reverse, then you have a somewhat added value, but it's really hard to find them, and it's really hard to tell unless you're an expert. One of the other things that happened in 1964 was they had some special mint sets that they were making for 1965. They were going to stop making the collector's sets except for one set, and they were going to call it a special mint set with no mint mark. And you'll see the 1965 does not have a mint mark on it anywhere. From 1965 to 1967, no mint mark on any of the U.S. coins. It looks like they made about 20 to 50 prototype sets that have 1964 on them and that are made of silver. Those 1964 prototype coins are hugely valuable. One of the quarter from one of those special mint sets could go for $35,000. Now again, there's only 20 to 50 total in existence. Only a few people got access to them, so extremely unlikely that you'd have one of those 1964 special mint set quarters. But if you did, it would be hugely valuable. All right, so that's all we have today from DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Look for these quarters out there. You're going to have to decide whether you want to keep saving your quarters or get $12 to $15 for each one of them if you want to turn them in for melt value, because the melt value is so high, it's just gone way past the collector value of these quarters. Have a great day from DC Coin World.